ready. I'm just
Mm.
gonna hit record. Again, we're just having a conversation, and it's just we're gonna go right through it.
Okay.
Um, and if at any point again you're like, I don't know what I just said
Yeah.
there, we'll just keep going. All right.
Perfect.
So, Roland, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Actually, could you state your name first?
Sure.
Like my name is
Sure.
Roland, and I'm an alumni of Prevail.
Yeah. So my name is Roland, and I'm an alumni of Prevail. Um, e- uh, have been for, gosh, I didn't guess the last 10 months. So relatively new, I guess. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Can you tell a little bit more about yourself? Like where you're from? What's
Hmm.
your background? What do you
Sure.
do?
Sure. So so I'm originally from Binghamton, New York, which is which is upstate, closer to Syracuse, about an hour south of Syracuse. Um, so I have three brothers. I have two older and one younger. I have three boys, and I also have now four grandchildren. So
Congratulations.
yes, I time is just ticking. It really
Mhm.
is. Yeah. So what I do, I've been in sales most of my life. RV sales, automobile sales. Um, I struggled in school a little bit, academically, ADHD. I'm sure a lot of folks can identify, especially in recovery. ADHD seems to be kind of a part of, right, the process, unfortunately. So, but when I was a young man, there wasn't a lot talked about it, especially in school. There wasn't a lot of help. So, in a lot of ways, I feel like I got pushed through. So, so I was able to use my God-given skills, and which were not academics, and my art background, things like that. And then, of course, I have the gift for gab, so they say, right?
Same here.
So, so why not get paid for it? Why not find something that? That's another great thing is that there's so many options out there, right? We don't have to. Certainly college is great, but there's a lot of successful people that really couldn't afford to go to college. So, one thing you're guaranteed is you're going to have a big bill that needs to be paid, right? So there's other ways to go. If you did like myself, if you struggled in school, then you can still be successful, right? You just need to find a different avenue.
Exactly. And so, what led you to seeking substance control help?
Okay, so my background is, my father died tragically at a young age. I was at it, so was he, but he was an alcoholic, and he was physically abusive towards the family. But they would have parties on the weekends and have friends over, and there would be, you know, roach pot in the ashtray and alcohol half drink, and so I think that's really kind of well, yes, that's where it started. And it was acceptable. It's marijuana mostly, and when I say it was accepted, I'm sure a lot of people understand that we tend to have those people around us, so it seems normal, right? And so yeah, so I struggled with that. Maybe not so much early on, but it was more of a. I think it was just trying to fit in, you know. Growing up with a low self-esteem, right? Because of my academics and my issues, um, you want to fit in. So sometimes you'll go maybe too far to fit in, right? And taking chances, things like that. So um, I was definitely a risk taker. I think I'm sure we'll get to it at some point, but part of a lot of my story is taking risks. Some of them really not necessary, some dangerous, right? Some, there's trouble sometimes when you're in those situations. But again, I realized a lot of it had to do with just trying to be a part of the crew, and because I struggled at one end, I felt like I had to make up for it at the other end. You know, if that
Um,
makes any sense.
it's like your environment says a lot about kind of where you are.
Sure.
Um, but at the same time, again, the fitting in is very common. A lot
Yeah.
of people like they just want to join the
Well,
crew.
yeah.
It's because it's cool.
Well, it is. It is, and that was probably the big thing about the alcohol part of it. Now there was some drinking, mostly just beer, but I remember the first time I one of the neighbors stole some liquor from their dad's cabinet, and we snuck out into the woods, and it was black velvet actually. Not the tastiest stuff as a young man, but it burned. I remember burning. I couldn't drink it, and one of the guys said, "Well, just plug your nose, and then you'll be able to." So I remember plugging my nose and drinking it. And but the thing is, it was so bad, like it burned literally all the way down, right? But after about 2 or 3 or 4 minutes, everything changed. Like I'll never forget it because instantly I felt, the low self esteem went away. You know, I felt confident. I didn't care what you thought. Like it was too good to be true. This came from a drink. My life and how I feel about myself changed in an instant from this bottle. So obviously, it became my best friend.
Yeah, no, and a lot of people would say the same thing, where it's like that confidence boost that people
Sure.
get.
Yeah. No. 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 Absolutely. Yeah. If you're an alcoholic like myself, you're definitely shaking your head right now. Okay.
Yeah. So when did you realize, like, what was the moment where you were like, I need to
Well, there were several times that I knew that I needed to do something different. That I needed to change, and but again, the addiction is stronger maybe than your will,
change?
right? So what happened is, I think that I would say the turning point. Hmm. I partied for a long time. So there were this went on for quite a few years. The alcohol, the marijuana, and then of course from the alcohol to the marijuana to the harder drugs. Cocaine was really kind of the thing when I was a young man. Growing up in the 70s and 80s. Um, so that it was a while before I said, okay. Um, but I will say that June 11th, 1995, was I quit everything. Okay, I got myself into rehab. That was in Binghamton, New York. I stayed sober for 25 years. And, I was involved in a program with a home group. I sponsored young men, took them through the steps. I had a sponsor. We did a lot of things together. We rode motorcycles to the meetings, and we spoke at meetings, and fellowship. It was it was great. I mean, I was able to do something finally. I think what it is, so is that, and again, I think a lot of folks will agree that there is a point where you get sick and tired of being sick and tired all the time. You get tired of constantly saying, I won't do it again. This is the last time. Okay, I really mean it. It's kind of like, when we want to go to the gym, right? Oh, I'm going to get a membership. I'm going to change my life, and that thing sits in your pocket, right? And
You have the membership and you don't go.
that's right. So I used to say a lot, in the rooms that this is like a gym member. Just because you get a membership doesn't mean you're in shape. You actually have to work at it. So that's the same with the program. You have to work at it. You can't just, hey, I'm a member of AA. You I see it a lot. People go to the meetings and sit in the back. They don't talk to anyone. They don't have a home group. I get it. They're not sure. They have questions. I get it. But at some point, really, the program is not about the meetings. That's not what AA is. AA is not meetings. AA is the 12 steps. Okay, and the 12 steps are just happen to be at the meeting places. If it's a good meeting, they should be talking about the steps. But yeah, that's really what changed it for me was working the steps because they are basically they're a gift from God. These steps, you don't even have to be in AA to work the steps because it's really about becoming a better person. It's about changing your bad habits. It's about taking a personal inventory. Okay, it's about not not worrying about what everybody else is doing. What did she do? What are they doing? It's about what are you doing? Okay, because I can't change them. I can, with my higher power, change myself, right? And so, so I always say it's impossible to go through the steps and not have a spiritual experience because that's really what it's about. It's about a spiritual experience. Some people do get that at church. They go to church and they give themselves to the Lord. They get involved in the church, and all of a sudden people are going, "Geez, you look different. Oh my gosh, what's?" Yes, exactly. And it's the same. It's the same. So I know of two ways to have a spiritual experience: church and AA. Okay, so it does say clearly, on the 12 step, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we carry the message to other alcoholics. So it basically does tell you that, right? If you do these steps at the end, you will not be the same. You can't. It's impossible to be the same.
And that's only if you're actually truthfully going through those 12
That's
steps.
right. Sure. That's the other thing. Sometimes we don't want to do them all. We're like, oh, I'll do this one and that one, right? I'm not going to do that. I'll do these, right? So it doesn't work like that, right? Half measures avail as nothing. Isn't that true, right? So it's the same. You get out of it what you put into it.
Exactly.
So and it's sad to see people come in. They're like, I'll do anything. I'm done. I can't go home. My family doesn't trust me. I lost my job. I have nowhere to go. I'll do anything. And then they after 10 days they're gone. You don't see them again. They're back out there again, right? So unfortunately, relapse is a big part of the program.
And can I ask, have you relapsed?
Well, so having said that, so after 25 years of sobriety, so I got married. I'm living in Tampa at the time. My wife's a nurse, and we have a beautiful place, and we play golf together. I'm just living life. Everything's great. And then COVID hit. Well, so with COVID, there were no meetings, right? The only meetings were online. Well, I found myself starting to get away from my support group. 25 years, even though I know this, I've heard it a million times, people relapsing after 25 years, because it doesn't matter how long you've been sober. You don't get a badge for that. You don't wear stripes on your sleeve, okay? It's every day, one day at a time, right? So I got complacent. The bottom line is I did what I heard people do and swore I would never do. And I found myself in a situation. I was playing golf. One of the guys had some marijuana. I started thinking, I guess the truth is I had some reservations in the back of my mind that one day I'll be an old man, gray and old, more gray, and, smoking marijuana, on the back porch. And that's really kind of in some ways, even though I'm in the program and sober, that was a reservation. So I would say to anyone, be careful about your reservations. They will come back to you, right? So that's what happened. I smelled the marijuana. I asked him, what do you have? I knew what he had. I took a puff. I was like, okay, that's it. I'm happy. I did it. I'm not going to go pick up a white chip. After 25 years, I'm not going to say I threw it away for a puff. Okay, it was wrong what I did, but I'm at this point, I'm done, right? So this is the sneaky thing about this disease. It's cunning, baffling, powerful, right? So what happened is 3 days later, I get a call. Hey, Roland, can you play golf? We need another guy. And I show up, and it's a couple of the same people. And now I'm like, hey, listen, you got another one of those things? And the next thing you know, I'm smoking every day. Before I came in, almost 10 months, well, closer to 9 months ago. Um, so backing up a little bit, so my addiction kicked in all over again after 25 years. I didn't go back to my drug of choice, which was cocaine, but the marijuana. See, this is the other thing. I was smoking it alcoholically every day. I was high every day. In some cases, all day. As soon as the buzz would go down, I'd go out in the garage. I had 10 different types of marijuana in the garage. It's innocent, right? It's legal. Everybody's doing it. I have a bad back. I could get a marijuana medical card if I wanted to. So, and it would maybe even be justified. But the problem is, and this is true for anyone that thinks that, well, I have an issue. I have a serious problem. I need medication. Let me just, let me put it out there. You're an addict. If you're an addict like me, that's not possible. Okay, it just doesn't work like that. It's a progressive disease. Okay, it gets worse and worse and worse. Yeah, it started out a puff on the golf course, but it ended up my wife saying, "Listen, can't do this."
You're doing this every day.
Yep. And what happened is my self-esteem went into the toilet. Okay, now we're not even making eye contact. Right now, I'm staying in this bare room. It's over. Okay, and it was February 8th, 2024, that I picked up the phone. I made a couple of calls. I got someone on. I want to say it was Morgan, possibly on the phone, and I just basically spilled the beans, and she really she said everything that I needed to hear, everything, including I could bring my golf clubs, which, by the way, she wasn't completely upfront, but you can't bring your golf clubs there. But anyways, sure you can bring them, but you may not be able to use them because there's other things that are more important, right? So yeah, so I next thing you know, there's an Uber out front. I packed a bag, said goodbye to my wife. I haven't seen her since. So, and I ended up here in Fort Lauderdale, at Prevail. Started in at Rain at the detox, and went through that program, and then on to IOP and PHP. So yeah, so it's been quite a journey, and so Prevail has been amazing, actually. Just like the people that work here, they're one of us in most cases. Okay, not just somebody that went to college and they're talking from something they read, but most of the people that you deal with are talking from experience. So it's very comforting when you're in a situation where you're in a different state, a different town. You're struggling with issues back home, emotionally. Okay, physically, maybe you're not in the best shape, and so it's there's a lot going on up here. Okay, and in here, right? So yeah, no, it's really nice to see people that really care, right? And that can talk from experience and not from a book. So I was impressed, very much so. In fact, in the book that I wrote, I thanked Prevail for everything that they did to help me get back on my feet.
And
So
what's the title of your book?
so it's called African American White Boy. Okay, and it's now it's not a book. It's more of a message, and it's basically about a black gentleman uh, raised in a predominantly white area as a young boy, and trying to fit in. I'm black, but I sound white, right? And I dress white, I guess, and so it was tough. Yeah, it was tough. The blacks didn't really fit in tight with them, and the whites didn't. So it was a struggle trying to find out where I belong. What is my identity? And still today, it's it's not the easiest thing. But yeah, buy the book, and then you'll it's on Amazon. It's actually pretty cheap, but
I'll definitely if I post it, I'll get your information so I'll make sure that all that. If you have social media or something that you share about, I'll add that type of thing.
yes,
Just shout you out.
yes. So yeah, that's it's amazing, the growth,
And
right?
how do you feel like now as you are 10 months after your like recovery journey?
Yeah. I have well, we'll say I have some of my faculties back, right? Um, it's I have a new opportunity. Okay, as far as my wife is concerned, um, the truth is, I'm not sure that I would go back. Okay, just because I feel differently about myself today. And I think maybe you can even say I have more respect for myself. Um, so and then physically, I've got myself back into shape. I like to go to the gym. I like to look at this as you know not just recovery, but it's physical. Okay, there's a physical recovery, a spiritual recovery. Okay, I attend church. I'm a volunteer at our church. Um, so it's really all of it, and in fact, I mean, you can even go a step further and say this is a war to stay sober against the disease, and the disease is very powerful, and so it would make sense if you're going to go to war that you need to get all the ammo you can get. So it is a physical, mental, spiritual battle. Yes.
And
So
this is an ongoing battle.
it is, yeah. Oh, yes. Well, I've proven that, right? There's no such thing as I got it. I'm there. It's a one day. You have a daily reprieve, is what you have. That's why our big slogan is one day at a time, because it's so true that yesterday is gone. There's nothing we can do. Tomorrow's not here, right? Unfortunately, we focus on both of those way more than we should. Well, guess what happens? We lose today, and this is all we have. Nothing's guaranteed. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, right? So it makes sense. Why not make the very best of each day, right? That's really the key. Now, having said that, life has curveballs, okay? Life is full of them, okay? And they keep coming, they don't stop. They're always coming. So it's really, sometimes we duck them, right? Sometimes we catch them, and sometimes they hit us right square in the forehead, right? But the thing is, you can't even really get frustrated, or you just have to understand they don't stop. It's like jumping out on 95. Traffic is never going to part and let me go through. It's always going to be wackos cutting you off and then beeping at you as if you've done something wrong, right? So it's the same idea. It's just about doing the very best you can, and accepting your surroundings for what they are, right? And just trudging the road to happy destiny is what we like to say. It's not easy.
Exactly. And I think like I would say like the last thing here is really just if you have any advice for anyone who is seeking treatment today, what would you say what would you say to yourself as you're starting this?
Well, I would talk both to someone that's struggling and also the family, because they're the ones that really get hurt a lot. Unfortunately, we tend to burn our family before we do anyone else. We take advantage of our family. So first of all, as a family member, I would say, that it's unfortunate, but sometimes what you have to do is sit back and watch your child try to kill themselves. It is what it looks like. It's so you think that's difficult to do? Yes, it really is. But I would say to parents, you can't be sending your kids cash. Okay, you can't. You can't be bailing them out all the time. If your child climbs up a ladder and falls, and you catch them every time, they're going to keep climbing the ladder, and they're going to climb higher because they know you're going to catch them. But if they fall And I'm not saying let your kid fall off the ladder, but it's different when you hit the ground, right? So I would say to a parent, you can't enable them. Okay, you have a choice. Either you enable them, help them continue to do drugs and alcohol. It may take much longer for them to hit their bottom than if you let them go. If you let them go, they may hit their bottom sooner, right? And I always said, why would you want to rob someone of their opportunity to hit the bottom? Because that would be sooner that they would get help, right? So, and then as far as an addict or alcoholic, and they know this, there's nothing that can be done until you decide yourself that you have a problem. If somebody else tells you have a problem, it doesn't work like that. Why don't you just stop? Why don't you go, just cut it down to a couple? It doesn't, that's silly. Okay. That's not how it works. So, obviously you need to hit your bottom. You need whatever it is. It's not the same for everybody, but there is a point where you get sick and tired, right? And it's sad. It's very sad, but it's unfortunate that a lot of us go through that through life that way. Relationships, weight loss, gym, whatever. We have to hit bottom before we do anything, right? Um, but when that happens, there's a place here. It's called AANA. It's called the 12 Steps Program, and there's facilities like Prevail that again they take you to the meetings, they take you to church, okay, they take you to functions, outings. You're not just sitting in a room like I'm not going to drink. You get involved, and it's great how the process is that it's a step off. Okay, you go from a detox, and then you move into a situation where you're living with others, and then you move into a situation where you have more responsibilities and ability to leave the premises and things like that. So it's a step down group or step up group, however you want to say it. Yeah, no, these guys, they know what they're doing, and they get better at it every day. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Do you have, so this is also going to go out primarily for the new year. It's kind of like our New Year, New Me campaign. And I'd like to kind of have it where it's like, if you have any New Year's resolutions, if you have anything where it's like a restart, any plans that you have?
For me,
Yeah.
well, actually, there are. I personally believe that I fit in working into this environment with other alcoholics, and so. But that changes. Sometimes we find something that we really want to do, and then we start to do it, and maybe we drop the ball, or maybe it's not what we thought it was, or whatever. But one thing that's different for me is that I'm not going to give up. I'll keep going. So I wrap cars, um, more of a like artwork, designs on cars, things like that. So I think business would be really good here. In fact, I've just started already. I have a job today at 3:30. Um, as far as writing, like the book stuff, I don't know. I mean, I really would like to get more involved in something like this, where I could, help, right, through sharing my experience, strength, and hope. Like the book, there are some things in there that would help everyone, especially if you're struggling with identity. Most of us are, right? So, um, yeah, no, it's so yes, I have that. I want to be a better father. I want to be a better grandpa. You know, my kids are in upstate New York, so we got the holidays coming up. So I plan on getting there and spending some time with the people I love the most. So it's different being here. I don't have family here, so it is. Family's important. So there's quite a distance between Fort Lauderdale and upstate New York, but you know when you love your family, there is no distance that's too far, right? So yeah, so that is that's my thing right now is I've gotten sober and clean here, and taking care of some stuff, legal stuff. That's another thing that Prevail will help you with. A lot of us have issues when we get here. So, but yes, my responsibility right now is to live one day at a time and do the very best I can, and understand that tomorrow's not 100%.
Thank you so much.
My
I think,
pleasure.
Arthur, you've got 30 minutes.